Good day to our beloved lecturer, Professor Madya Dr. Noor Afza Binti Amran. We are from Group 1. We'll be doing the group case presentation on the case study given, which is on King Joel's Ethical Leadership in Practice. So before we begin our presentation, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Kishita Naidu, matrix number 264593, and later on I will be joined with my other group members. So without further ado, I will begin with the presentation and I will start with question 1. So the question reads, if you were Waiman, what action would you take and what could she have done to prevent the incident from happening? So let's discuss. If I was Waiman, the finance manager and also a chartered accountant at King Joel, I would first try to have a private conversation with our CEO Andy Wong to share with him whatever I have found through my personal investigation. First, I will mention to him about how King Joel's was delivered with a batch of gems that were of lower color grade and clarity, and it was charged at a premium price, which is a big loss for the company. Then I will also mention to him about how our supplier, Surah Gems and Denpa Stones, is actually owned by Peter Tam, who is my uncle and also Clement Tam's uncle, and Clement Tam and my uncle have had an agreement to pay Clement a high amount of rebates. Next, I'll also mention about how there have been a few large purchases transactions that have been occurring near each quarter's end where bill of lading or reports of shipments received were either pending or usually completely missing. This is when I would try to recommend him to invite a third-party auditor who is independent to conduct an investigation on our company's financials so that I can know and we can all find out if Clement Tam was really guilty of whatever he was doing. I choose to report this to our CEO because I think he should know about the situation, and I think it's really critical for the company because it involves corruption, which is a very serious matter that can severely damage the company's reputation and name as well as our financial situation. So as a finance manager with a high moral standard and someone who's really believing in maintaining a high standard of governance in a company, I feel like I should not cover for anyone and in fact be much stricter with people who are closer to me. So some of the steps that can be taken to prevent this from happening, one of it is to suggest the company to do a proper segregation of duties because we can see in this case Clement Tam, he has both the operation manager and also the head of the gem sourcing department. These roles should not be held by the same person because it overlaps each other and in this case allowed Clement Tam to sign off the lower quality stones that he has fraudulently sourced and then directly pass it to the production department, which he was also in charge of. So the first thing to do is to make sure that the segregation of duties is done properly and no roles overlap each other. Next is to have the discussion on how culture may influence the employee's behavior in letting know their opinion, question unethical and also potentially illegal business practices. This may be because it's very common in China that employees just do not question their superiors because they are also handsomely rewarded for their efforts. So if they choose to report their activities to the higher authorities of the company, this may jeopardize their job and livelihood and they would want to avoid that completely. Lastly, I would recommend the CEO to review the compensation plan and how it contributes to how Clement Tan has done to deceive the whole company. Because as we can see, the company's annual bonuses is tied directly to the growth target that have been set. So when the employees do not meet the growth target, they do not receive their annual bonus. So this has led Clement Tan to purchase the lower quality stones at a significantly lower price and also deceiving the company and also customers just so he can meet the growth target that have been set. So these are some of the steps that Wyman can suggest to the company to do to prevent these incidents from happening in the future.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nuraina binti Roslan, matric number 264214. I will present the answer for question 2, which is if Wyman were to blow the whistle, what would happen to her professionally and on a personal level? And how would this incident change the mindset and behavior of employees with regard to committing and reporting fraud? Professionally, Wyman will lose her current job and any future job as a result of her speak out. Wyman faces not just retaliation from employers if she blows the whistle on Clement Tam and Jonathan Ho's deceptive behavior, but her career may also be ruined as a result of her disclosures. Retaliation includes wrongful firing, demotion, co-worker harassment, denial of embarrassment, and other forms of discrimination. Women may find it difficult to find new jobs after being fired due to the high risk of being blacklisted in professional areas, since future employers may be hesitant to hire discharged employees due to their previous employers' disloyalty. Women, on the other side, will be protected under the whistleblower policy if she discloses the misconduct. The federal government's whistleblower protection program protects employees who report violation of workplace safety, environmental, financial reform, or security laws. Personally, Wyman will be alienated by colleagues, feel a lonely existence in the office, her friendships may be lost, and her family relationship may be damaged, in addition to the threat of being retaliated against by employers. After she reports the wrongdoing, her friend and brother will treat her differently. For example, maybe her brother did not want to talk with her. Wyman's personal life will benefit from the fact that she may be rewarded. A whistleblower reward is a monetary reward offered by the government to anyone who reports fraud to government. According to federal law, whistleblowers are entitled to a percentage of the money collected as a result of their tip. Whistleblowers may receive up to 30% of the total monetary incentive as a reward. When Wyman blows the whistle, the workplace becomes hostile and interpersonal relationships typically fall apart. This incident alerts staff to any ambiguity in the company's standard operating procedures. It not only prevents employees from engaging in unethical activity, but it also makes them accountable for reporting any misbehavior by co-workers or superiors. Employees will not commit fraud because they are afraid of facing the same consequences as the fraudster. Whistleblowing's positive impact, like getting reward, will motivate them to be more accountable and honest in their professions. They will also be more courageous in speaking out if the wrongdoing occurs at work. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and good day to Dr. Hafza. My name is Muhammad Faiz bin Mamli and my metric number is 265086. I will continue presenting question number 3, which is, had the CEO been alerted to all the facts, what action should he have taken? What would be the implication of his chosen action on his respective professional and personal relationship with Wyman, Ho, Min, and Tam? B. Other staff at King Jewel, and C. King Jewel suppliers and customers. So the CEO, which is Mr. Andy Wong, should take an immediate action to detect, investigate, and seize all this fraud practice. First, Mr. Wong need to establish a team that leads by himself to investigate with the assistance of Tam Wyman and Chang Min, because the one who detect and discover these fraud activities. Mr. Wong also need to hire a private investigator to help Mr. Wong and his team in the case. With professional help and advice, their investigation can be done more effectively. Next is Mr. Wong's teams also need to recheck all the red flags and some of the fraud evidence that have been found by Wyman and Chang Min to check which one of the red flags are related to the fraudulent activities or not. They also need to focus on gathering evidence from all 3 years of purchase documents of the gemstone from their biggest supplier, which is Show Gems and Temple Stones, that owned by Peter Tam. As the CEO of King Jewel, Mr. Wong also should implement anonymous report for his employees so that he can obtain more additional evidence. After all the investigation finished and Mr. Wong obtained sufficient evidence to present to the court, Mr. Wong need to decide what kind of follow-up legal action should he be taken, such as civil action, which is to recover all the associate assets from the perpetrators and remove them from the company management. Lastly, Mr. Wong, as the CEO of King Jewel, need to reshape all the corporate culture in this company in order to prevent these fraud activities from reoccurring. Next is the application of Mr. Wong's action on his professional and personal relationship with Wyman, Ming, Tam and Ho. So for Wyman and Ming will get a promotion or recognition from their CEO because of their discovery. Their personal relationship also will be tightened, and CEO can have more trust for them because they have high integrity in their work. For Tam and Ho, they certainly will be removed from the company because of their action, and Mr. Wong will not trust them anymore because they betray Mr. Wong's trust to overseeing the whole company. So for the implication for other staff, for the subordinate who involved in this fraud, will give them a severe penalty because Ken Jewel need to show the employees that the company take very serious if they commit fraud. So the changes in culture in Ken Jewel also can give an opportunity to other staff to make an anonymous report if they see any fraud occurs. For the supplier, King Jewel need to change their suppliers, especially Jam and Deposto that owned by Peter Tam, because these two companies has used King Jewel as place to commit fraud. And also purchase department also needs to make a new policy to avoid any family relationship from their suppliers to avoid this fraud from recurring. For the customer may lose faith in King Jewel as the result of the CEO. Assalamualaikum and good day to Dr. Hafsa. My name is Muhammad Faiz bin Mamli and my metric number is 265086. I will continue presenting question number 3, which is, had the CEO been alerted to all the facts, what action should he have taken? What would be the implication of his chosen action on his respective professional and personal relationship with
Assalamualaikum and hi. My name is Nurul Najwa binti Zailan Jafri. My metric number is 264404. Today, I will present question 4, which is about what internal control mechanism should have been put in place in order to prevent the incident from happening. Internal control mechanism. Internal control mechanism can be referred to all of the policies and procedures implemented by the management inside an organization to help achieve the management objective. In a complex organization like King's Jewel, the fraudulent practice is more diverse, so having a good internal control is very important. There are a few internal control mechanisms should have been put in place in King's Jewel in order to prevent this fraud incident from happening. The first internal control should have been implemented by King's Jewel is segregation of duty. In this case, Clement Tam is an operation director and also germ sourcing manager. Thus, he holds a significant power inside the company. Due to this fact, Clement Tam's fraudulent activity can be easily concealed. So, to prevent this fraud from happening, the company should segregate the roles of overseeing the whole company and germ sourcing by two different people, so that no one person has a complete power inside the company. Next, King's Jewel should have implemented the monitoring system. In this case, Clement Tam is an operation director who oversees the entire company and also a trusted friend of the CEO. Thus, he can easily carry out the unethical behavior. Due to this reason, King's Jewel should monitor the executive or manager or employee's work activities. The implementation can be done through supervision of the board of directors or CEO towards the work activity of the executive or manager or employee. Through the monitoring process, the perpetrator will feel afraid to commit fraud as they know that somebody is watching them. Besides, King's Jewel could have implemented an internal control of management communications. In this case, King's Jewel's executive, manager, and employee behave in a way that they think will benefit them the most without caring whether it is ethical or not. So, to prevent this unethical practice within the company, King's Jewel should have implemented the management communication and communicate what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. King's Jewel can communicate this through their code of conduct, during their orientation meeting, or others platform that they think it is suitable. Besides that, an internal control of good accounting system should have been implemented in King's Jewel. A good accounting system will ensure that the recorded transactions are valid, properly classified, properly authorized, complete, recorded at a proper period, properly valued, and summarized correctly. King's Jewel could have a good accounting system through the implementation of accounting software systems such as FreshBook or QuickBook Online. A good accounting system can avoid opportunity for the fraud perpetrator to commit a fraud. After that, in this case, King's Jewel was involved in unethical practice throughout the organization. This unethical practice can be seen starting from the top management to the lower management. As the unethical practice involve executive, manager, and some of the subordinate, the employee who is not involved feel afraid to question this unethical behavior. Thus, to prevent this incident from happening, King's Jewel should implement a system for reporting unethical behavior, which this is under internal control of risk assessment process. The company should provide a friendly platform for the reporter, and also the platform should be managed by an external third party so that the reporter will feel comfortable to report this fraud incident. Thus, the perpetrator will feel afraid to commit fraud as there will be an anonymous person reporting their fraud. Furthermore, King's Jewel could have implemented a punishment system where a severe punishment will be given to whoever involved in unethical behavior. With the punishment system being imposed, the perpetrator will feel afraid to commit fraud, and this can prevent the fraud incident from happening. Lastly, in the King's Jewel case, Clement Tam, who is an operation director, and Wyman, who is the finance manager, are siblings inside the company. Due to this, it gives an opportunity for Clement Tam to do a fraud inside the company. Thus, to prevent this incident from happening, King's Jewel should implement a system where a person who is related by blood cannot hold a high position inside the company. Thank you. Next, I will pass to Aina to present question 5.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Aina Shafiqah binti Muhammad Sofi 264624. So I will explain question 5. Apart from the problem with Tam and Ho, identify and discuss any structural and cultural issues contributing to the situation. So firstly, I will explain the structural issues that happened to King's Jewel's financial manager and certified accountant Tam Wyman. A few months before the company discovered there are manipulation in King Jewel's record, approval of substandard gemstone to be used, bribery, and accept reward from the supplier by one of the key staff in the company, Wyman's professional principle as an accountant has been tested by a few dilemmas. Surprisingly, until Chamin informed Wong and the other board director, they were fully unaware of the occurrence. On 17 February 2006, an emergency meeting of the board of directors will be done To address the situation with minimal publicity in the benefit of the company public image and stakeholder, Wyman looked confused as she had to determine whether or not to file a report on the wrongdoings she had discovered and how they had occurred without her knowing. Wyman discovered that her brother, Clement Tam, was the key staff that was doing fraud. He accepted benefit from multiple suppliers in exchange for poor gemstone, neglected to declare the correct quality gemstone acquired, misplaced business record to verify the receipt of the product purchased, and bribed his employee into silence. So she is in dilemma. She was obviously held back because it will have an impact on her and her brother's future career. Next, cultural issue regarding warning signs of unusual business practice. In 2004, Stephen Wan and his auntie Lim Fung bought Bliss collection, but when Ling questioned about diamond certification to ensure the quality of the stone, the salesman informed them that the Bliss line did not offer diamond certification. They were offered verbal assurance only about the diamond's quality, and Ming noticed the incident while inspecting the retail store. The next day, he questioned why diamond certification were not provided, and the salesman informed him that this had been business procedure since March 2003 on her order. Other than that, some of Bliss diamond should have been sold at a lower price because of the purer color and clarity. Most surprisingly, it came to light that the Bliss collection actually consists of F-grade color and not E color like what they had claimed. Wyman discovered that all the gemstones in question come from Sura Games and Denpa Stone, two sourcing companies that account for more than 20% of King Jewel's total annual gemstone spending, making them two of the company's most crucial sourcing companies. She assumed they had gotten huge purchase because they guaranteed Tam large rebates. Surprisingly, owner of Suragame and Denpa Stones were Peter Tam, her uncle and a close friend. Wyman discovered a few unusual large purchase transactions at the end of each quarter when bills of lading or report or of shipment received were either delayed or missing entirely. She investigated deeper and found for the preceding few years, Tam had been signing off on lower grade stone and passing them on the manufacturing department. Surprisingly, these gems were sneaked by Ho and the quality inspector and end up on a mainland Chinese manufacturing lines. So that's all from our group. Thank you.